So the scope is the direction, it is the objective of what we want to achieve. It is something that we want to do, and that's what we call as the scope. In all these places, you have to be very cautious, very careful, and stick to the plans. Any great idea which comes into the project as the project moves, just ensure, the idea may be great, but do you need it in this project is the question that you have to ask. Hello viewers, I am Prof Vijay Kumar Jayaram, VKJ. First of all, I would like to thank all the subscribers for subscribing to Hope channel. This is your channel, and thanks a lot for your support and for your encouragement. I'm going to come out with more videos, and this video is about scope creep and feature creep in project management. Okay, I know many of the friends are there in IT sector, you are there in other sectors, and now the economies are reviving. We are going through a tough time. So most of them are in project management, and I'm sure it is a very important field for not only generating revenue, but to create value in the societies and in the industries. Now, two things. You all know what is project management, but the point is, many of us, even after going through a full course in project management, after getting the necessary certifications, it becomes very difficult to identify a creep in the project that can set in. Mostly these creeps come in through operations. As we execute a project, we find that we are ready for facing certain contingencies, certain situations, but not for all the contingencies. And therefore, in a project, there can be changes in terms of timings. There can be changes in terms of weather, which will have a repercussion effect. It's called as the regression analysis. And not only the weather, the geopolitical scenarios may change, or there can be technical glitches. But this creep in a project, what we mean as a creep, it's like a creeper or something that creates a deformation that just creeps upon us, and we don't like it. We don't like these creeps which are unnecessary. Yes, the name creepy, yes, has another significance. You may have most of the people, they say, hey, that's a creepy guy. I don't like his approach. So a creep means something that comes slowly without our knowledge and then suddenly comes as an obstacle or creates certain issues. That's what we mean by creep. Now, in a project, what can happen is we can have something called as a scope creep. A scope, friends, you all know, scope refers to, what we can do in future. What are the possibilities? And a scope means what we are heading towards. That's the scope. So the scope is the direction, it is the objective of what we want to achieve. It is something that we want to do, and that's what we call as the scope. And scope can also refer that once we take a certain direction and we have moved into the project, most of the projects have an incremental value. That means it is there to, enhance itself. It gives a scope for further development. So that's what we mean scope. So scope also, would mean enhancement. It could mean an entry into a new vista. It could also mean a re-entry. You should have a scope for re-entry. And of course, definitely scope, you should also have a scope for exit or for winding up. So scope is a very important thing, and many of the project managers, that is when many of the times we miss out. See, what can happen, in a scope? See, due to certain changes, which normally come from the external environment. It's not from the internal environment. Many times you'll find that, you're working with a client, the client himself, they themselves don't know what exactly they want. They themselves say, I don't know where we are heading towards. Now, this can happen in the finance sector. Particularly now with the kind of banking crisis that is going on one end, with all the changes that is happening, and a parallel currency that is, coming up, the Bitcoin and, the cryptos. So this is where, all those who are sitting on the development, they could get new ideas, So when you get a new idea, you say, hey, this looks good. Now let's incorporate it into the project. Now this is where a scope creep can come. And I'm sure for the last 30 years, there's one picture or one diagram that goes into many of the project training meetings, and that is, the creation of a swing. So have a swing with the 2 layers, have a swing with 3 layers, have a swing between the 2 trees, etc., and all those pics. I'm sure you have seen that cartoon, I'll post it. So, and finally, what the end user wants, he just wants a string with a tire so that he can swing and get his job done. Now, in a project management, you always have a technical user, you have the end user, then you have the economical people who are going to look at the feasibility and the usability of that particular project. What are going to be the returns for their investment. So in all these places, you have to be very cautious, very careful, and stick to the plans. Any great idea which comes into the project as the project moves, just ensure, yeah, the idea may be great, but do you need it in this project is the question that you have to ask. The second thing that you have to ask is whether this is going to be of real value or whether it will alter the scope. For this, there are two quality questions. I'll leave you with that. I mean, after telling about features creep. The quality question is, one, ask a question that by implementing this change, is it going to affect the quality of the overall project, or will it affect the quality on the portion of a project? Some bit of the project. By quality, we mean deviation from the standard, deviation from what we set as the scope or the objective. That's what you need to check out, one. Two, ask the question whether this idea will be acceptable to all types of users. Whether this change will be acceptable to all. If it is not going to be acceptable, or any one of these answers to these questions is going to be a no, I think you should not allow a deviation or allow that particular change. You'll have to escalate the issue and go up to the boss or to the higher up to the client, and then you have to handle it. So this is the way you can stop a scope creep. Many people say once the scope creep comes, a feature creep will come in. So I'm sure you know what a feature is. So there are many features, you have many features as options, as buttons, as processes, or as gadgets, as devices, or, many things. These are the features of a given product. Now, what is a feature creep that can come in? Now, let me give you a classic example. There was this case of a customer who goes to buy a luxury car. The three most popular luxury cars are going to be the Audi, the BMW, and the Benz, right? So now he visits, he and the family, they visit these showrooms, and then they say all is well, they want to pick up a particular model, but when the customer comes and he opens the boot and he checks the boot, he sees that the spare wheel, which is going to be used in the event of a flat tire, but BMW doesn't have the problem. They say we have run flat tires and you could do up to at least 200 kilometers with that. Again, the question is those who travel long distance. I mean, this feature is not going to happen, but then why would you compromise on the tire by making it a donut tire? That means, just like I'm not able to recollect the exact details of that particular case. I should have come, I'm sorry about that, but I'm sure you can understand. Suppose the normal tire has this thickness, a donut tire will be this thick. So they lost a lot of sales. Again, a feature creep can come in the sales. Now this is a classic case which happened in the sale of a Honda car, the Honda City car. Now here the customer, they were promised to give mud flaps. At the point of sale, there was a change that happened. So they said, we will give you a car, it will have all the features, but the mud flaps are not part of the original feature, not part of the original set of the product. So you will have to pay for the mud flaps. Now, this is what I would call as a feature creep in a sales process. And in the case of the other automobile, this is a feature creep in the case of reducing the size of a tire. Now, on the IT side, a lot of feature creeps can come. In fact, many of us don't know to use all the apps itself fully, to using all the options. So, by the time a new version comes, okay? So, what we mean as a feature creep is some option that is there that has come in and I don't need that. I don't need that option. Now, let me take a banking system. In a banking system, you can have a feature creep that could be, stopping the international transactions on your card. So now, this is a button, and if you want to make an international transaction, you go into your mobile app and then you keep it on, do the transaction, then come out and close it. You say no further international transactions. Why? Because of a lot of fraudulent things happen. Now over here, this option, providing this option to on off can become a feature creep in case the customer forgets. You see my point? Okay. So there are many types, in a feature creep. That means I don't want this feature. Some customer might say, I don't want this option. So that is why when you get into these feature creeps, and that is why Apple came out with the fuzzy logic. They said, we don't want you to do the customization. We will decide what are going to be the options, and that's about it. You enjoy the product. So that the whole idea of the Apple was to do away with feature creeps and just give the customer what they want. It was something like, a blue ocean, You take your customer along with you. So I've used some of the technical words, and I'm sure on the management side, MBA students, you will be able to appreciate this. And so what we have seen, feature creep and scope creep, and as part of project management, those of you who are going to go into that, check it out, keep an eye open, be alert, and stick to the specifications. Ask the critical questions. Is it acceptable to all? Is it going to affect the quality? Okay. Don't forget this. And guys, if you like this video, do give me a like, subscribe, share. This is Prof VKJ. I'm signing off. I'm sure I'm going to come back. We are coming back with more videos onto management. Till then, victory is yours. Have a nice day. Make it a great day. I like this. Make it a great day. It comes from Dr. Alan Mandel. I like certain things, and this is all out to you guys on the YouTube communities. Wish you all the best. Bye.